Good morning, good morning. Thank you for coming and spending a little time out with me today. My name is Angela and it is great to have you here. If you're new to this channel, then an especially warm welcome to you. So what we're going to talk about today is intermittent fasting. I started the conversation yesterday and I've since had a few questions about intermittent fasting, and I thought I'm gonna talk about getting started on intermittent fasting today, and then over the next couple of days I'll build up a little bit more about that topic. So if you want to see the introduction, to watch yesterday's video, but I will just recap it here. So intermittent fasting, in my opinion, is something that everybody, with a few exceptions, everybody should be consciously doing, regardless of whether you are following an eating plan, of eating program, whether you're doing Weight Watchers or Slimming World, keto, paleo, carnivore, whatever. In my opinion, I believe everybody should be consciously doing intermittent fasting. And I say consciously because absolutely everybody fasts. Everybody fasts. You may not realize it, but you do. You do fast. And that is when you're sleeping. When you're sleeping, you're not eating, and your body is in a state of healing, and therefore you're fasting. So I'm going to pick up on this a little bit more, but today I'm going to talk about getting started. I will just put a disclaimer out there that I'm not a medical professional. So if you want to know more about the medical benefits of intermittent fasting, if you want to know whether it's right for you, whether changing how you eat is right for you, and if particularly if you've got health conditions, then definitely do talk to your medical practitioner. So I started my intermittent fasting journey, oh goodness me, it's quite a few years ago. I would say about 15 years ago I came across intermittent fasting, and I discovered it because my doctor, my hospital consultant, had recommended it for me and suggested that I go away, do some research, and get started on it, because she really believed that it would help to improve my health and also to help me lose weight. I had about 10 stone in weight to lose. I've now lost just under 9 stone. And my son was also practicing intermittent fasting as well. And intermittent fasting, it's not a diet. You know, if you do Slimming World, carnivore, paleo, Weight Watchers, calorie counting, they are all forms of dieting, but not intermittent fasting, because intermittent fasting isn't there to tell you what to eat or how much to eat, but rather it tells us when to eat. And in fact, it's, you know, lots of programs and diets will say, oh, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And that's debatable. But intermittent fasting, it truly is a lifestyle. Because whether you know it or not, you're fasting anyway. It is part of your lifestyle. You're fasting when you eat it. Sorry, you're fasting when you're sleeping. It may be that, you know, you can't eat at work, and you have a period of fasting throughout the day. If you go into hospital, and you're having an operation, they tell you nil by mouth, that's fasting. If, like me, you're diabetic and you have to go for regular blood tests, you have to do a fasting test, which means that you eat nothing from the evening right through till the morning. When you go for your blood test, fasting is an important part of our day, whether we realize it or not. So fasting is not new. It's as old as man has been on the earth. It's absolutely nothing new. But in our modern society, where it's all about the money, there are systems and programs that people sell to make us buy into it, so it can then become really complicated and complex, and it therefore gives it a bad name. But if you go back to a lot of the pioneers, the modern day pioneers, when it comes to fasting, they will often just give you the very simplest, basic way to get started, which is what I love. They give you a very uncomplicated way to get going and to build it into your life, and I love that, because with intermittent fasting there is absolutely no need for it to be complex, absolutely no need whatsoever. And when it's uncomplicated, that's when it really truly becomes part of our lifestyle. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the different ways and different methods of fasting, and I'm just going to set that out there for you. It's not something that I particularly follow. I don't particularly follow any of these, because again, that's when it becomes restrictive and it feels uncomfortable and it feels unnatural for me. But I'm just going to let you know the methods out there. So there's a couple of different ways to get going with fasting, and the simplest and the easiest method is called a 12-12 fast. So remember, fasting is all about having a time frame in which you are eating, and then a period where you're not eating. Okay, and that essentially, where you're not eating, is called your fast. So a 12-12 is typically where you are fasting for 12 hours and you have a window of 12 hours where you're eating. So a simple way to get started is that you may choose to stop eating at 8 o'clock in the evening. So nothing to eat, no more food at 8 in the evening. You get ready for bed, you go to bed, you sleep, you wake up the next day, and you have your first meal at 8 in the morning. Okay, so that's 12 hours eating, 12 hours fasting. Okay, and you would then start eating at 8, and you would eat all day right until 8 o'clock at night, and you stop eating. Okay, now you could vary that time. You could say, okay, well, normally I like to get up and start eating at 7 in the morning, and that's fine too. You may choose to do 12-12 with that pattern. So you start eating at 7 and you eat all day until 7 in the evening, stop eating. Or it might be you work shifts, or due to your family needs, your family's lifestyles, it might be that you choose to have your last meal at 10 o'clock at night. Well, in that case, you still do 12-12, because you'd have your last meal at 10, you'd fast all night, and then you would have your first meal at 10 the next morning. and then you would eat all day up until 10 at night. So 12 hours, whatever time of day you finish eating, you would just count 12 hours till the next day. That's the simplest and a great way just to get started. Now, other methods, and a very popular method, is called 16-8, and that is where for 16 hours you are fasting, but for 8 hours you are eating. So again, it works really flexibly around your lifestyle, around your family, and it may be that as a family you like to eat at 7 o'clock in the evening or 6 o'clock. Well, you would then have your last meal, say it's 8 o'clock, you would have your last meal, and you would stop eating at 8 o'clock when you've had your last meal, and you would then fast for 16 hours, so all through the night until the next day, and you would start eating at 12 o'clock, around 12 o'clock. So you would leave a 16-hour period for you where you're not eating at all, and then you have an 8-hour period where you are eating. Now that works for some people, it doesn't work for others. But that 16-8 is by far a very, very popular eating method. Another pattern of eating is called the 18-6, which is where you're eating in a 6-hour window and you're fasting for 18 hours. Good morning, Horatio. Thank you so much for joining me here on this live stream this morning. I hope you are well. So with an 18-6 fasting window, you may choose, for example, to start eating at 12 o'clock in the day, finish eating at 6 o'clock in the evenings. That gives you your 6 hours window, and then you are fasting then from 6 o'clock in the evening after your last meal, and you don't start eating until 12 o'clock the next day. So that's a 8-16-8 window. Popular, but not as popular as the 16-8. Now, a couple of other methods for fasting is called 2-MAD. So number 2, MAD, 2-MAD. And that means 2 meals a day. And some people choose that method because of their lifestyle. They may choose that 2 meals a day works for them. And they will often don't specifically have an eating window, but they would just have 2 meals a day, usually 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening, and that works fine for them. And these are like what we're getting into more advanced levels of fasting. Another method is called OMAD, OMAD, and that stands for one meal a day. And that is where somebody chooses, do you know what, I'm gonna just have 1 meal a day, 1 good, substantial, nutritious meal a day, and that works for them. Now, I will say that I have tried 16-8, and I have tried 2-MAD. 2-MAD works really, really well for me. I've never tried OMAD, not consciously anyway. But it's something that, you know, I want to build up to and try. Other types of fasting methods is having it's like a day pattern. So you may eat for 5 days in the week and have 2 days where you're very, very restricted on your calories, very restricted. That was a method that worked really well for my son when he was at uni. And different people find different things work for them. That's not something I've personally tried. And I don't think that would work for me, because my body just needs food every single day. But some people choose to do 5 days of eating and 2 days where they're not. And those 2 days where you're fasting and not eating, you could do them all at the weekend or mix them in the week. Entirely up to you. And that eating pattern very much resembles ancestral eating back in the day, where food was very scarce. People were hunter-gatherers, and there were days where they just didn't have anything to eat, and then days where they were feasting. So again, nothing new. It's not a fad. It is nothing new. It often just replicates ancestral eating. And then some people will extend that and maybe even go for a week of feasting and eating, and then maybe increase that 2 days to 3, 4, or even a whole week of fasting. So there are just so many different patterns when it comes to fasting, and it's finding what works for you. And as I mentioned, fasting, the concept of fasting will work with any program, whether you're doing Weight Watchers, Slimming World, keto, carnivore, counting calories, what it will work, because it's not intermittent fasting doesn't tell you what to eat. It doesn't even tell you how much to eat, but rather it's a system that encourages you to listen to your body and to find an eating pattern, a time in which to eat. And that's why I love it, and I've been practicing it for years. So how do you get started? If you've always grazed throughout the day, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed, then thinking about an eating window and doing a 16-8 or 18-6 or 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day can be overwhelming. And sometimes you may try it and it doesn't work, because your body just isn't used to it, and you may feel unwell, you may get dizzy, etc. So I'm a creative. I'm very much creative. I'm like, you know what? We know what the industry says about intermittent fasting. We know that. I've just explained to you all of these different methods, but I say park all of that to one side and let's do common sense. Let's do common sense. So whatever time you normally start eating, whether it's 6 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 10 o'clock, whatever time you start eating, just step it back half an hour, push it back half an hour. So if you normally get up and you eat at 8 o'clock, then for a week, just push it back to 8:30. Now, because of our lifestyle, you may be taking kids to school or you have to get to work. If half an hour is too late for you, or if you feel that it's too much for your body, then push it back by 15 minutes. Yeah, just wait in an extra 15 minutes. So instead of eating at 8 o'clock, just start eating at 8:15, 8:30 if you can, and do that for a week and let your body get used to that. And once your body gets used to that for a week or so, then just incrementally push it back. Yeah, push it back to 9 or 9:15, and then 10 and 10:15, until your body finds a pattern where you are not so hungry in the morning and that fits with your lifestyle. And what you'll start to notice, and this isn't going to happen straight away, it's not going to happen the next day or in 2 days' time, it may not even happen in a week, it may not even happen in a month. But what you'll start to find is that over time, you don't feel hungry. You may find that when you get up, your body is craving food at 8 o'clock. So you start eating at 8 o'clock. But when you start pushing it back just a little bit, in a week or 2 weeks, you'll find that actually you're not hungry till 8:30. You're retraining your brain, you're retraining your body. And then you might find that at 9, that's when you're feeling hungry. It also plays into intuitive eating. So that's when we start eating. So over time, you've pushed back your eating window from 8 o'clock in the morning to now 9 o'clock. And what's going to happen in that hour is that your body needs energy. It needs fuel to get up, to move, to get dressed, to take the kids to school, to get to work. Your body needs energy. But because you're not putting the energy in, you're not putting the food in, your body now turns to the fat that is stored on the body. And in my case, my body stored a lot of excess energy that I'd eaten weeks before, months before, years before, in the form of fat. And the fat is stored on the body. And when you are not eating, your body needs fuel. So what it starts to do, it starts to use the fat that is stored on your body as fuel. And that can start happening from when you just push your eating patterns back just a tiny little bit, by an hour or 2. Okay, so, and as I say, this may not, you may not start seeing that straight away, but it'll happen over time. So whilst you're pushing that window back a little bit, then at the other end of the day, if you normally finish eating your meal or your snacks at 9 o'clock, then just push it back a little bit, push it back half an hour, and try and finish at 8:30. Okay, and if you normally finish at 10, push it back half an hour to 9:30, or if you finish at 7, push it back to 6:30. So what we're doing is we're incrementally and slowly just narrowing that eating window. So instead of going from eating at 8 till 8 at night or 9 at night, we're just gradually closing that window just a tiny little bit. And again, over time, your body will start to get used to that. Now, I often get asked the question, when I did that, what could I drink? And did I eat anything? Which is really valid questions. So it's really important to keep the body hydrated. So definitely drink. So in the mornings, like now, I've got up, I've prepped my lunch, I've driven, I'm just around the corner from work. I've not eaten anything. Don't feel hungry, but I do know I need to keep hydrated. So when I get into the office, I'll be drinking water. And then in the evenings, when I've finished eating, I will drink water or tea or herbal tea. So it's really important to keep really well hydrated. And that essentially is a really simple way to get started with intermittent fasting. Good morning, Emma. Thank you so much for joining me here this morning. So whilst there are so many eating patterns out there, 16-8, 18-6, OMAD, 12-12, there's all of these different eating patterns. If you are going from eating however you normally eat and thinking, right, I need to start doing 16-8, that can be a big jump. It can be really overwhelming, and it can be stressful on your body too. So what I say is somebody who throw the rule books out and find what works for me, and as a result of ditching the rule book has lost 124 pounds. What I'd say is work with your body. Work with your body and build it up. Build up your eating pattern, because when you do that, you learn then how to be flexible. So in my head, I don't think about, oh, I'm doing 16-8. I don't think about my day like that. What works for me is knowing that my cutoff is 6 o'clock in the evening. So typically I don't eat after 6, and there may be occasions where I do need to eat after 6 because maybe I've been busy, I've got caught up doing something, time's run away with me, and I look at the clock and it's like 8:15. Oh, sorry, 6:15. So I do eat occasionally after 6, but typically 6 o'clock is my cutoff, 7 o'clock the absolute latest. And I typically like to start eating around midday. However, as you know, if you've been following me, starting my new job has meant that I've had to be flexible, because my body just wasn't used to getting up, getting ready, thinking about work, having to go into work, and start, training and being on this new schedule. My body wasn't used to that. My body was used to being at home, working at home for the past 5 years. I was used to that. So I had to be really flexible. And I found that I was starting to eat at 7 o'clock and then 8 o'clock. But now that my body is settling into this new pattern, I'm finding I could go till about 11 o'clock before I need my first meal. And that's the beauty when you start thinking about your lifestyle and thinking about what works for you, you find what is flexible and works for your body and works with your body and your lifestyle, rather than thinking rigidity, rather than thinking I'm doing 16-8, I've got to start eating at this time, I've got to finish at that time. Because if we think like that, it becomes unrealistic, and you're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. So, yeah. And then over time, what works for me, regardless of what, when I start eating or when I finish eating, what really works for me is 2 meals a day. 2 good quality meals. And by good quality, I don't necessarily mean volume, I mean ingredients. So the protein and the fiber and the fruits and veg, those are good quality meals. And having 2 meals a day within the time frame that I choose to eat really, really works. And then all of those other things that I always talk about, such as eating mindfully, eating slowly, and really enjoying your food, really works. So 2 meals a day for me works, but also my hard and fast rule of 6 to 7 o'clock, I don't eat after that time. But the mornings I am a little bit more flexible, but I want to get back to 11:30. 11:30 worked really well for me, and I'm getting there. But if you want to start on your intermittent fasting journey, I would suggest that you look at your lifestyle and don't make any drastic changes to get started. You can just get started by thinking, I'm just going to, whatever time works for me at the moment that I start eating, I'm just going to push it back just a tiny bit. So delay it by half an hour. And whatever time you finish eating in the evenings, and by eating, I don't just mean your meal, but any snacks as well, just bring it forward by half an hour. So still have your snacks, still have your meals, but right, I'm going to stop eating at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, but make it realistic. If you normally have your last snack or the last thing that goes into your mouth is 10 o'clock, don't think, right, I'm going to, from this week, I'm going to stop eating at 6. It's not going to work. If the last thing you eat is at 10 o'clock, then just bring it forward to 9:30. And do that for a week or two, and then just increase it and say, okay, I'm going to make that, after a couple of weeks, make that 9 o'clock, and then 8:30. Just gradually. And this process may take you a few months. It's not a quick fix, because this is about a lifestyle. It's about building a lifestyle that truly works for you. One that you're not going to say, oh, I'm going on holiday, so I'll stop and I'll start again when I'm back from holiday. No, we don't want that. We don't want that diet mindset of, oh, I'm on the wagon, off the wagon, on the roundabout, off the roundabout, on the train, off the train. Don't want that, because this is a lifestyle, a true lifestyle around you. So don't be thinking, right, I need to start doing 16-8 or 18-6 or 1 meal a day or 2 meals. No. My best advice for you for building longevity is whatever time you start eating as part of your everyday lifestyle, the lifestyle that you've been doing for years, just push it back. Just half an hour. And if half an hour is too much, just push it back by 15 minutes. Just delay it just a little bit. And likewise, at the end of the day, whatever time you, in your family, in your household, in your lifestyle, around your job, the kids, whatever time you stop eating normally, just bring it forward just a little bit. And over time, over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, you'll just close that window. Just push it back, bring it forward just a little bit until you find that window that works for you. And also be kind to yourself. So, as you know, if you've been following me, when I started my new job, my eating window just fell apart. But that was okay, because now I'm working back to that. So yeah, those are my tips for getting started on your eating window for intermittent fasting and building that lifestyle. And when you start doing that, you'll start to notice that you have a little bit more energy, that brain fog is going, that you feel sharper. You're not falling asleep like me. I used to fall asleep after lunch. I used to literally need to go and have a nap. Yeah, All of these things you'll start to notice changes, but absolutely essential is to keep hydrated, keep drinking the water. So guys, that is it for me today. I've just had a little look at the time. I need to be in the office. I am gonna leave it here for today, but I'm gonna come back tomorrow with a few more tips around intermittent fasting. So feel free to come and join me tomorrow. Guys, if you're watching at this point, if you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. And also I would ask if you could watch another video or two, or another live stream or two. Just let it run right to the end. It helps to build my watch hours, and I'm so close to my next target, but I've only got 9 days in which to reach this target. So if you could just watch another couple of videos or live streams, or if you're in the office, just put it on and let it run. If you're in the car, or you're cleaning, you're washing, you're shopping, you're sleeping even, just click on another of my longer live stream videos and let it run right to the end. It makes a massive difference to me, and that means I am likely then to hit that target. So I absolutely ask you, beg you, help me out, guys, help me out. So that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. Also, drop a comment below and let me know if you do intermittent fasting. Is this something that you've started doing? Have you done any research around it? Is it something you want to get started on? Do let me know. Let me know if you want me to cover more topics on intermittent fasting. I would love to hear from you. And if you've not done so, then as soon as this video is available on the channel, give it a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. Okay guys, that's it for me. Whatever you are doing today, have a wonderful day, and remember, you're amazing. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye.